Hare Hare.
So, we have gathered on the auspicious occasion of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance day. We are all here by the mercy of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is a line through which the mercy descends upon us, beginning with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and passing one teacher after the other through parampara to cyclic succession. 5,000 years ago, Krishna came in his original form and instructed in the Bhagavad-gita 934 and 1865, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto. Always think of me and become my devotee. 500 years ago, Lord Krishna came again in the devotional form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya to explain and personally show how to be a devotee and always think of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya quoted a verse from the Brihad Naradiya Purana 38:126. Harinama, Harinama, Harinami Kevalam, Kalona Asteva, Asteva, Asteva Gatiranyata. One should chant the holy name, chant the holy name, chant the holy name of Hare, Krishna. There is no other way, no other way, no other way for success in the present age of Kali. Lord Chaitanya also desired and predicted Prativite Achayata Nagar Adigram Sarvatra Prachar Haibe Marnam. In as many towns and villages as there are on the surface of the globe, my holy name will be propagated. That's quoted from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat 3:4-126. This desire and prediction were expressed at a time when it was almost impossible to imagine or believe that it could happen. In the 1980s, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur began the effort to spread the holy name of Krishna to countries outside India. He wrote a small book in English called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, His Life and Precepts, and dispatched copies to libraries around the world. In recent years, Srila Prabhupada's disciples have discovered copies in libraries from Canada, McGill University, to Australia. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur yearned for the day when devotees from all over the world would unite in Harinam Sankirtan and wrote, quote, "Very soon the unparalleled path of Harinam Sankirtan will be propagated all over the planet. Oh, for that day when the fortunate English, French, Russian, German, and American people will take up banners, mridangas, and kartals and perform kirtan through their streets and towns. When will that day come? Oh, for the day when the fair-skinned men from their side will raise up the chanting of Jai Sachinandan, and join the Bengali devotees. When will that day be? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a very powerful spiritual master, an acharya. After the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, many unscrupulous people claiming to be Mahaprabhu's followers introduced concocted philosophies and practices, even illicit activities, to the point where if an educated Bengali heard the word Vaishnava, he would immediately think the worst. In educated circles, Vaishnava had come to mean a sentimental, ignorant person of loose character who, in the guise of religion, engaged in all sorts of questionable activities. In this precarious situation, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur came forward and presented the true understanding of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, speaking strongly against the deviant groups that had distorted and perverted Mahaprabhu's pure teachings and practices. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur held a high position in the British rule of India, the highest that an Indian could hold, and then also very rarely. He had important responsibilities in the government and had a large family, but his main interest was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Sankirtan movement. He would sleep little and rise early. He did so much, wrote books, traveled, preached, established centers, and had a tremendous effect, especially on the people of Bengal and Orissa, including the intellectual elite, who were just then coming in touch with modern ideas from the West. He revived the true mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, inspiring hosts of people to join him, and pushed back the deviant groups, which lost much of their influence. Having undertaken such a tremendous task and executed so successfully, but still being surrounded by so many parties with vested interests in covering the true intention of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was at a loss as to who would carry on his mission. He prayed to Krishna to send someone, one of his own associates from the spiritual realm, to continue the work. It is understood that the appearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was the answer to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayers. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. There are many incidents from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's early life that indicate that he was that person sent by Krishna. When Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was 5 months old, the Rath Yatra cart halted in front of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's home in Puri, and the Thakur directed his wife, Bhagavati Devi, to carry the baby to the chariot. When the infant was placed at the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath, he extended his tiny arms to touch the deity's feet. And Lord Jagannath dropped one of his garlands around him, a blessing and a confirmation of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's divine descent. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati understood his father's mission and worked with him to fulfill it. His father initiated him into the chanting of the holy name, Harinam, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But according to etiquette, a father does not give actual diksha to his son. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur instructed him to approach Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, a great Mahabhagavata, a fully self-realized, liberated soul, for diksha. But Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji was a renounced Bhajananandi and was not inclined to accept disciples. He preferred simply to immerse himself in chanting the holy names and hearing scripture. When Sri Siddhanta Saraswati approached Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj told him directly that he would not accept him or anyone else as a disciple. Still, Siddhanta Saraswati persisted. So Babaji Maharaj told him, "I will ask Mahaprabhu." A few days later, when Siddhanta Saraswati returned and inquired what was Mahaprabhu's order, Babaji Maharaj replied, "I forgot to ask." And when Siddhanta Saraswati came for the third time, Babaji Maharaj directly refused him. Mahaprabhu has not given permission. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was devastated. He stood up and quoted a line by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur addressed to the Guru. Karuna na hoile, kandiya kandiya, prana na rakhibo ara. If you are not merciful to me, I will simply weep and will not be able to maintain my life. Finally, when Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj understood how sincere and serious Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was, he accepted him as his disciple and initiated him. 5 years later, in 1905, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati undertook a vow to chant at least 3 lakhs holy names daily, 10 million monthly, until he had chanted 1 billion holy names. For his disciples, our Srila Prabhupada fixed the minimum number of 16 rounds per day, which takes most devotees about 2 hours. 4 times 16 is 64 rounds, or 1 lakh names, and 3 times 64 rounds equals 300,000 names, which would take us, even at a good rate, at least 16 hours a day. In Mayapur, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati constructed a grass hut where he lived very simply and chanted day and night. If rain came and leaked through the thatched roof, he would just hold up an umbrella and continue chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. To complete his vow took more than 9 years. But even then, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati would write, preach, and serve the Dham. One program he attended was especially significant. In Bengal, the caste Brahmins held a stranglehold on people's religious practices. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had spoken openly against them and their false claim, based on their supposed high birth, that they possessed exclusive rights to be gurus and perform Brahminical functions. Naturally, when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Sri Siddhanta Saraswati challenged them, the Brahmins reacted. An assembly of Smarta Brahmins and Jata Goswamis, caste Goswamis, came together to try to refute the arguments of the pure Vaishnavas and published a tract against them. In response, the Vaishnavas called a 3-day public meeting to discuss the relative positions of Brahmins and Vaishnavas. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was expected to be the main speaker, but severe rheumatism rendered him bedridden. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself was not born in a Brahmin family, and obviously neither was his son. Now the question may be raised that since Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was a ray of Vishnu, an eternal associate of Krishna sent from the spiritual realm to the material world to preach, Krishna could have arranged in the highest class of Brahmin family, with all the Brahminical qualifications. But Krishna didn't. Why not? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati explains that the Lord does not arrange for pure devotees to take birth only in high-class families, with all the advantages of good health, education, culture, wealth, strength, and so on. Because ordinary people would feel discouraged. They would think, oh, I didn't take birth in a high-class family. I didn't have this or that advantage. What is the hope for me? So great souls take birth in various kinds of families to show us the example that anyone in any condition, even if not born in a Brahmin family, can become Krishna conscious, to give us hope that we too can be Krishna conscious. So, after the publication of the caste Brahmins tract, on the eve of the public meeting to be convened by the Vaishnavas, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was incapacitated, and he cried out in desperation, "Is there no one in the Vaishnava world who can reply to these people?" And by presenting scriptural evidence and logic, put a stop to their base activities. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati took up the challenge and wrote an essay called Conclusion Regarding the Comparison of Brahmins and Vaishnavas, and went to attend the meeting. Many caste Brahmins, although not invited, also went to the meeting. Understanding that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was indisposed and unable to attend, they swaggered about, confident that they would easily triumph over the Vaishnavas. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was the first speaker. He began by quoting various statements from scripture about the exalted position of Brahmins. And the caste Brahmins in the audience were delighted. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was so brilliant that he could speak better about the high position of Brahmins than the Brahmins themselves. But then he began quoting verses from scripture about the position of Vaishnavas, establishing that Vaishnavas were higher than even Brahmins, and that irrespective of one's birth, if one accepted the Vaishnava principles, he would attain a position more exalted than that of a Brahmin. The Brahmins in the audience were completely overwhelmed. Seeing no way to counter Sri Siddhanta Saraswati's arguments, the Smarta Brahmins and Jata Gosanis slinked away. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur felt assured that his mission was in capable hands, that Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was a worthy successor to carry on his cause. And Sri Siddhanta Saraswati began to preach far and wide. He was fearless and open in his criticism of anything false. And his example and instructions remain relevant to us today. Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was a prodigious writer and speaker on various topics, including how to present the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He noted that there were people who thought that you should say only positive, not negative things. I experienced that personally when I was in Madras. I was just preaching as I had heard Srila Prabhupada preach, and people reacted. Even friends, people who were hosting me and supporting me, advised me, don't criticize others. Just say what you want about your philosophy and activities. Srila Saraswati Thakur asserted that it was imperative not only to elucidate the truth, but also to criticize anything false. Because in Kali Yuga there is so much false propaganda that we have to be very clear. There cannot be any ambiguity in our message. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, the positive method by itself is not the most effective method of propaganda in a controversial age like the present. The negative method, which seeks to differentiate the truth from non-truth in all its forms, is even better calculated to convey the directly inconceivable significance of the Absolute. It is a necessity which cannot be conscientiously avoided, by the dedicated preacher of the truth if he wants to be a loyal servant of Godhead. The method is sure to create an atmosphere of controversy in which it is quite easy to lose one's balance of judgment. But the ways of the deluding energy are so intricate that unless their mischievous nature is fully exposed, it is not possible for the soul in the conditioned state to avoid the snares spread by the enchantress Maya for encompassing the ruin of her only two willing victims. It is a duty which shall be sacred to all who have been able to attain even a distant glimpse of the Absolute. So our Srila Prabhupada also demonstrated this approach. He had a friend named Dr. Patel who would accompany him on his morning walks on Juhu Beach. Dr. Patel was highly literate, he knew Sanskrit, and he was quite sharp. So one morning, Dr. Patel started praising a revered popular religious figure of India, and Srila Prabhupada in turn began to criticize the figure. Dr. Patel protested, "You cannot criticize like this." But Srila Prabhupada replied, "I am not saying, Krishna is saying. Namam duskritino mudha prapadyante naradama maya parita jnanam asuram bhavam ashrita." If you are not surrendered to Krishna, you are a miscreant in one of these categories: fool, rascal, demon. Dr. Patel became agitated and raised his voice, and Srila Prabhupada raised his. The whole situation became both tense and intense. Finally, Dr. Patel's friends dragged him away. It was like in a boxing ring when the bell rings to signal the end of the fight, and the two opponents keep going at each other, and the referee has to tear them apart. For the first time, Dr. Patel stopped coming for the morning walks, and Srila Prabhupada also said, "Now no more discussion. We will only read Krishna book." But after a couple of days, Dr. Patel was walking in one direction on the beach, and Prabhupada was walking in the other. And as Dr. Patel described it, something in his heart just drew him to Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. He offered obeisance and said, "Prabhupada, I am sorry, but we are trained to respect all the accredited saints of India." And Srila Prabhupada replied, "Yes. And our business is to point out who is not a saint." He had learned from his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati, that we not only tell who is a saint, we also explain who is not a saint. And that is the mercy of the Vaishnava. So people know clearly what is what. Otherwise, they can be misled and, as a result, suffer. Srila Saraswati Thakur was a tremendously powerful and successful preacher who fearlessly spoke the truth. And his pure preaching inspired hundreds and thousands of people to follow. But he also had enemies. He was the enemy of falsehood, and consequently, people who were thriving on falsehood sometimes became his enemies. Once, when he and his party were performing Navadvip Parikrama, the caste Brahmins hired gundas, thugs, who let loose with a volley of stones and boulders on the party, aiming to take Srila Saraswati Thakur's life. There were attempts on other occasions as well. But one of his disciples cleverly exchanged his white dress for Saraswati Thakur's saffron robes. So Saraswati Thakur emerged disguised and escaped. But it was a terrible scene. It looked like a massacre, with the streets of Navadvip stained with the blood of the Vaishnavas. Some devotees suffered gashes and fractures, but by Krishna's grace, none were killed. It was a dark moment, but when it came to light that the attack had been perpetrated by the caste Goswamis, the public sided with Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and the Gaudiya Math, and the caste Goswami's opposition to him lost whatever credibility it had. As news of the event spread, those in learned circles protested in the newspapers and magazines. The chief police inspector in Navadvip was sacked, fired, and the parikrama continued under full police protection. Later, when urged to press charges against the culprits, Srila Saraswati Thakur declined, saying that the gundas had done a yeoman's service. Otherwise, how could the Gaudiya Math have been featured on the front pages of all the newspapers? Srila Saraswati Thakur was the enemy of falsehood, but he was the well-wisher of everyone, even of people who were inimical to him. Although Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was so austere and rigid, so strict with himself, when it came to preaching, he was ready to spend any amount of money to do anything. When I was first serving in India in 1970, only affluent people could afford cars, mainly the locally manufactured Fiats and Ambassadors. But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had a limousine back in the 1930s. And he dressed nicely. He would typically wear a dhoti, but on occasion, as required, he would don a double-breasted coat, stockings, and shoes. He had fine furniture for receiving special guests. Thus, referring to the elite, he said, quote, "We are preaching by approaching the people of the world dressed even somewhat better than they, showing knowledge even somewhat greater than theirs, being even somewhat more stylish than they, without which they would think us worthless and not listen to our Harikatha. I have to go to various places for propagating Harikatha, so I must present myself as a learned and decent gentleman. Otherwise, non-devotees will not give me their time." He used all means to broadcast the message of Krishna. Employing the latest technologies, he directed the construction of dioramas and other exhibits, and Srila Prabhupada also followed his Guru Maharaj's example and established the doll exhibit or diorama exhibit in New Dwarka, Los Angeles. Employing the latest technologies, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta directed the construction of dioramas and other exhibits and staged huge theistic exhibitions. He built a grand marble temple on the bank of the Ganges at Bagh Bazar in Calcutta. The procession that brought the deities on a beautiful Rath chariot from the Math at Ultadanga to the new temple was enormous. Millions of people lined the streets along the 2-mile route, which took 4 hours to traverse. And 25,000 men, divided into 43 groups, accompanied the deities with loud Harinam Sankirtan. For its work, the Gaudiya Math owned 4 cars, a horse and buggy, an elephant, and a camel. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati would treat prominent guests to excursions on the Ganges in one of the Math's boats and expound Hari Katha to them. In January of 1935, the governor of Bengal, Sir John Anderson, visited Mayapur. This was a major event because the Britishers were the rulers, and Srila Saraswati Thakur was one of their subjects, their vassals. But the governor, accompanied by many other dignitaries, came all the way to Mayapur to meet Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and see his work. Despite Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's tremendous purity and potency and success as a preacher, however, within his own institution there were disconcerting signs that some of his leading disciples were becoming materially infected. When he reached the age of 62, Srila Saraswati Thakur experienced a decline in health and made statements indicating that he would soon be leaving. In late October of 1936, he traveled to Puri, a holy place that was also warmer than Calcutta. But in December, though he was in a weakened condition, he wanted to return to Calcutta, and the disciples arranged for his travel by train. In Calcutta, Srila Saraswati Thakur's disciples called in some of the city's most renowned physicians. When one advised him, quote, "You have to rest more. You can't speak so much," end quote. Saraswati Thakur proceeded to preach for hours about the purpose of human life, that the physical body was temporary, and that the soul's absolute necessity was to serve the Lord. He felt that if he couldn't speak about Krishna, what would be the use of living? On December 23rd, he instructed the devotees gathered at his bedside, quote, "I have upset many persons' minds. Many might have considered me their enemy because I was obliged to speak the plain truth of service and devotion towards the Absolute Godhead. I have given them all those troubles only that they might turn their face toward the personality of Godhead without any desire for gain and with unalloyed devotion. Someday they will be able to understand that. I advise all to preach the teachings of Rupa Raghunath, 2 of the 6 Goswamis, direct disciples of Lord Chaitanya, with all energy and resources. Our ultimate goal shall be to become the dust of the lotus feet of Sri Sri Rupa and Raghunath Goswamis. You should all work conjointly under the guidance of your spiritual master with a view to serve the absolute knowledge, the personality of Godhead. You should live somehow or other without any quarrel in this mortal world, only for the service of Godhead. These are very important instructions and relevant for us. Do not, please, give up the service of Godhead in spite of all dangers, all criticisms, and all discomforts. And do not be disappointed, for most people in the world do not serve the personality of Godhead. Do not give up your own service, which is your everything and all. Neither reject the process of chanting and hearing of the transcendental holy name of Godhead. You should always chant the transcendental name of Godhead with patience and forbearance like a tree, and humbleness like a straw. There are many amongst you who are well qualified and able workers. We have no other desire whatsoever. After midnight on December 31st, Srila Saraswati Thakur left this world. His disciples took his body to Mayapur and established his samadhi there. So, my dear devotees, thank you for coming on the auspicious occasion of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance day. And thank you for listening so patiently and attentively. Again, I'll go for a minute or two, and when I come back, you will have a chance to ask questions or make comments, share reflections. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, my dear devotees. So, if any of you have any questions or comments, you can raise your hands.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you Maharaj for the nice class. Maharaj, I have a question here. We heard a pastime about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati that in his childhood he had a mango, unoffered mango.
Yes.
So, his whole life he didn't eat mango.
Correct.
Considering that I did an offense in that sense, I am an offender. Prabhupada used to say that I am an offender, I won't eat a mango henceforth.
Correct.
So today morning in ashram lecture was going on, Prabhupada was saying that we can see how determined he was in his vow that henceforth I won't eat a mango. So I need to know, Maharaj, how we can develop that determination.
Sorry?
How we can develop such determination.
Well, my first recommendation would be to chant good, attentive rounds and Cheto Darpano Marjanam by chanting with attention. One becomes purified. And when one is pure, one can engage in devotional service with determination. Vridavrataha. In several places, Lord Krishna uses the phrase Vridavrataha, which means strong determination. So the one thing would be the chanting, and the other would be the reading. By reading, you will, you'll be inspired to follow with determination. And then prayer. Pray to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Prabhupada to bless you with that strong determination. Hare Krishna.
May I ask you another question, Maharaj? May I ask you one more question?
Yes.
Maharaj, in the lecture you were indicating a visit of governor in 1920, I think. What was that pastime, Maharaj?
Sorry?
You said in your notes, a visit by governor in Kolkata.
Oh, the visit by the governor to Mayapur?
I couldn't clearly understand, Maharaj, what was that pastime.
Oh, yes, the governor came to Mayapur, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur dressed in a very stylish way, and he also had his disciples dress in a stylish way, not in the regular dhoti and kurta. And yeah, the governor was very impressed. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur showed how resourceful he was and how innovative he could be in receiving important visitors. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, how was the celebration like in 1974 when Srila Prabhupada was personally present to celebrate the 100th birth anniversary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada in all of ISKCON in 1974?
Well, if I recall correctly, we were in, anyway, one year we were in Gorakhpur with Srila Prabhupada on his Guru Maharaj's appearance day. And you know, he said we should have a small function at midday, which is the proper time. And then he said we should have a larger function in the evening, so we could invite our friends from the Gita Press to come for the function. And so many came in the evening, and then at the end, we sat in rows downstairs, outdoors, for prasad. And after some time, Srila Prabhupada's personal servant, Nanda Kumar Das, came down with some of Srila Prabhupada's remnants, and he said two things. He quoted two things from Srila Prabhupada. One, Srila Prabhupada said, the feast was so good, I could not control my senses. And two, my Guru Maharaj is very pleased with all of you. So that was a nice blessing from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on his appearance day when we were in Gorakhpur. Any other questions or comments? Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, you mentioned that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took 9 years, more than 9 years to complete his vow for chanting the holy names in Mayapur. So we see, as follower of Srila Prabhupada, we don't have such practice of taking a break and go for chanting for long years like that. So what practical lesson we can learn from such pastime of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in our devotional service as given by Srila Prabhupada?
Well, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur showed great determination and commitment. The vow to chant 1 billion holy names was not ordinary. But we, as initiated disciples of Srila Prabhupada, have our vow to chant at least 16 rounds every day. And we should be determined and committed to fulfill our vow. And we should also try to chant the rounds attentively. As you know, there are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting the holy names. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that if one is inattentive while chanting, all the other offenses will flourish. And if one is attentive while chanting, then all the other offenses will be destroyed. So it's very important to be attentive while we chant. I've facilitated a number of japa retreats and workshops, and I facilitated one with His Grace Mahatma Das, and Mahatma Prabhu commented that devotees have become very expert in using their left hands, because while their right hand is in their bead bag, with their left hand they're dusting, they're checking their emails, they're doing so many other things with their left hands. So we should not be like that. We should be fully attentive. And he also quoted one devotee who said that previously he used to think that his chanting was getting in the way of his life. But now he thinks his life is getting in the way of his chanting. So he had a change of perspective. So yeah, we should always, whenever we have free time, we should chant. As Srila Prabhupada said in one lecture in Los Angeles, if you've got time, chant Hare Krishna. Don't speak nonsense. Don't waste time. Chant Hare Krishna. Yes, there are two over here.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much. Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, just after a few meetings with Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, developed such a great affection and attachment for Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj. Similarly, we see Prabhupada disciples also like you and many others develop the same attachment for Srila Prabhupada in just a few years, a few meetings also. But we, after spending a long time also, like myself, spending many years in Krishna consciousness in ISKCON, still I do not feel that kind of attachment for Prabhupada or for my spiritual master. So how to develop that?
Well, for becoming attached to Srila Prabhupada, I recommend reading books about him. Of course, we have Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, and other disciples of Prabhupada have also written wonderful books about him. DVD series, you'll definitely become more attached to Srila Prabhupada. So I'd recommend both reading the books, well, both the books by Prabhupada and the books about Prabhupada, and then seeing the DVD series. So it's very important to become attached to Srila Prabhupada. That will save you. Your attachment to Srila Prabhupada will save you. And what was the other question? Oh, well, I mean, if you become attached to Srila Prabhupada, so your spiritual master is a servant of Srila Prabhupada, and we all aspire to be the servant of the servant. So being the servant of your spiritual master means being the servant of Srila Prabhupada. And you should, you should be happy in that position, and you should be filled with appreciation and gratitude to your spiritual master for connecting you to the Guru Parampara and enlightening you and engaging you in devotional service.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, generally it's like said that when Acharya's appearance days is there, they are more merciful. So what prayers we should do to Bhakti Siddhanta today?
Yes, it's true. The Acharyas are more merciful on their appearance days. So you're asking what should be your prayer to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati? Well, what do you want? Well, you should pray for what you want, of course, for your spiritual development. You can pray for taste for the holy names. You can pray for appreciation of the scripture. You can pray for service to Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and our Parampara. And I'm sure he will respond favorably to your sincere prayers.
Maharaj, recently we celebrated Shripad Ramanacharya Appearance Day. I was hearing one lecture and the devotee mentioned that Srila Ramacharya mentions that Vaishnava Seva is not just sadhana, it's sadhya also.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Vaishnava Seva is not just sadhana, it's sadhya.
Yes.
And how we can understand Maharaj this?
Yes. So there's two words, sadhana, which is our spiritual practices, and then there's sadhya, which is our goal. And Vaishnava Seva, serving the Vaishnavas, is both our sadhana and our sadhya. We serve the Vaishnavas as our sadhana to attain perfection. And after we attain perfection, we continue to serve the Vaishnavas. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu designated himself, Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudasa, that he's the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, the maintainer of the Gopi damsels of Vrindavan. So that is our eternal position. And there's nothing higher, nothing higher. Krishna says, those who claim to be my devotees are not my devotees. But those who are the devotees of my devotees, they are my real devotees. So, yeah. You want to be the servant of the servants. Once I asked Srila Prabhupada's Sanskrit editor, Pradumya, that everything that exists in the material world exists originally in the spiritual world. So we have pride in the material world, so what is the pride in the spiritual world? And Pradumya Prabhu replied that, that the pride in the spiritual world is that in the line of servants of the servants of the servants of the servants, I'm the last in the line. In other words, I have the most masters. So that is my pride. I have the most masters and I'm the last of the servants in the line of servants. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So Maharaj, today is also disappearance day of Srila Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj. If you can share something about Maharaj also.
That's true. Srila Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj, he departed on Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance day. Yeah, he was a great advanced devotee, Mahabhagavat, and yeah, I was fortunate to have his association, of course, in India and also in Mauritius. Once we did a program together at the ISKCON Vedic farm in Mauritius, and after the program, somehow I was mentioning the 5 most potent forms of devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami enumerates 64 items of devotional service, and he says that 5 are most potent. So, Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtana, Bhagavat Shravana, Mathura Vasa, and Murti Sharanvita Sevana. So I mentioned that to His Holiness Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj, and he looked me in the eyes and he said, Kamsa was also a resident of Mathura. Then when we were at the airport in Mauritius, about to leave, I discussed with him about the golden age of Kali Yuga that Srila Prabhupada mentions, 10,000 years, the golden age of Kali Yuga. And Srila Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj knew the specific Shastric reference about the 10,000 years of the golden age of the Kali Yuga. So I have a book called Many Moons, in which I discuss 9 exalted departed Vaishnavas, 6 Prabhupada disciples, and 3 grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So there's a whole chapter about Srila Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj in that book. Any other questions or comments? Yes, at the back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my Dandavat Pranam. I am Sebba Mukunda Das from Kolkata, just very near to the birthplace of Srila Prabhupada. I am here just to visit this Juhu temple. I want to know, Maharaj, that what kind of teachings we get from the preachings of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I am a Grihastha.
You want to know what kind of
Teachings.
Oh, we should take all of his teachings, but his last instructions to his disciples are very relevant and appropriate. I'll read those again because they're very important instructions. I advise all to preach the teachings of Rupa Raghunath. With all energy and resources. Our ultimate goal shall be to become the dust of the lotus feet of Sri Sri Rupa and Raghunath Goswamis. You should all work conjointly under the guidance of your spiritual master with a view to serve the absolute knowledge, the personality of Godhead. You should live somehow or other without any quarrel in this mortal world, only for the service of Godhead. Do not, please, give up the service of Godhead in spite of all dangers, all criticisms, and all discomforts. Do not be disappointed, for most people in the world do not serve the personality of Godhead. Do not give up your own service, which is your everything and all. Neither reject the process of chanting and hearing of the transcendental holy name of Godhead. You should always You should always chant the transcendental name of Godhead with patience and forbearance like a tree and humbleness like a straw. We have no other desire whatsoever.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Thakur ki jai. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for the class. We have seen in the life of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur that he was like a Simha Guru, very strict but very soft, both simultaneously. So how to achieve that? Because that becomes very difficult sometimes.
Yes. It was also said of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he could be hard as a thunderbolt and soft as a rose. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur demonstrated both of those qualities, and especially with the non-devotees, and in particular the Mayavadis, he was hard like a thunderbolt. With the devotees, he could be heavy and strict to reform their character and behavior. But otherwise he was soft as a rose with the devotees who were dear to him. So, yeah, we have to be intelligent enough to know when to be hard as a thunderbolt and when to be soft as a rose. And we can also pray to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to help us with that.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj, very much. One time, the people who were actually inimical to Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Saraswati Maharaj, they went to the police station and they said they wanted to kill Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. And the police Thanedar and inspector said that we will not allow you. And also they informed to Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj that please take care of yourself. These badmash people wanted to kill you.
That's true. That's true. Thank you for sharing that. All right, my dear devotees, thank you again for listening so patiently and attentively. And we have an announcement coming.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we thank His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj for telling so many wonderful pastimes of His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And we are very fortunate that he is here on this very special day. So, two announcements regarding today's schedule. 12 o'clock, there will be a special Bhoga offering to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada. And 12:20, all the devotees can assemble here for Pushpanjali. So Pushpanjali will start at 12:20 p.m. and then arati and then prasad. So सबसे ये निवेदन है कि 12 बजे यहाँ पे भक्तिसिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर श्रील प्रभुपाद के लिए भोगा ऑफरिंग होगा और उसके बाद 12:20 को पुष्पांजलि होगा और उसके बाद प्रसाद होगा. और this is a very great fortune for us also that whatever Maharaj is speaking about Prabhupada, that is already there in book form for all of us to relish all the time. So for the devotees, there is a special book table kept in the courtyard, and Maharaj will be there personally to sign those who are taking these books. So all the devotees.
I brought my special book signing pen.
Rivo! So we can take the advantage of mercy today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj ki.